So this is you, right? You come home from school and tell yourself you actually want to study today. But before you start, you suddenly feel tired and decide to lay on your bed and scroll on TikTok for just 1 or 2 minutes, which inevitably turns into 1 or 2 hours. Finally, you drag yourself out of bed and decide to sit down and study at your desk for a full 5 minutes before losing focus and realizing that you hate it. We've all been there, so don't worry. This will be a dedicated video so you can learn how to not hate studying. Throughout my years of experience, I've collated 5 of the most important study hacks that you have to know before you even consider sitting down at your desk to study again. I would listen closely because I was once in your shoes, and if I had known then what I know now, I could have saved myself so much pain, time, and unnecessary stress. I know many of you have exams coming up, so with that being said, let's get right into the first study hack. What would this look like if it were fun? I stole this phrase from Ali Abdaal, and I think it has a really powerful message behind it. If studying is boring to you, then you're most likely doing it wrong. The way I like to think about it is that everything we do in life should at least be enjoyable, or be at least somewhat fun. Sticking this note on my desk and looking at it while studying often changes how I go about things. Have you noticed how much easier it is when you're actually enjoying what you're learning? That's the power of infusing fun into your study routine. For example, rather than just reading through dry textbooks, why not turn it into a game? You can create flashcards or pre-made ones, and you can turn this into more of a fun activity by challenging yourself or your friends to a timed game of flashcard quizzing. I found that adding these elements of competition and excitement has really increased my engagement and attention levels, so you might want to try something similar. Another way to make studying more interesting is by switching up your environment or making your workspace nicer. If you like music, then why not listen to it while studying? If you don't, then find somewhere quiet, comfortable, and well lit to study. Something weird I found too is that whenever there's sunlight entering the room from like a window or directly, I always feel more productive for some reason, and I can always get so much more work done. I have no idea how it works, but I just know it works for me, so you might want to try it as well. Adapt to your body. You need to study at certain times you know you're effective. And in the hours which you know you're going to be quite lazy, plan your activities here for when you're tired. The point of this is to reduce the friction of starting, and it's to avoid this procrastination that we feel a lot of the time. I think it's good to understand your body's natural rhythms, and adapting your study schedule accordingly can make a world of difference to your productivity. For example, I've been trying to take advantage of my peak levels of energy in the afternoon. So when I come home from uni or something, I always like to schedule the hardest things I do in the afternoon, and so I have the most energy to tackle the things I struggle on the most. And you can do exactly the same. For instance, if you're a morning person, tackle the toughest subjects first thing in the day, when your mind is fresh and alert. If you find you're actually the complete opposite and find yourself more productive in the evening, you can save the heavy lifting for later on and spend more time doing other things you enjoy before that. This approach is not only good for your study habits, but it's also super good for your body as well, because by listening to what our body wants, we actually reduce a lot of the stress, and we make it so much easier for ourselves because we're doing more of what we want to actually do. And the reason I think that you guys all hate your study routines and sitting down to study is because you force yourself to do it. By using techniques like this, we sort of reduce the friction, so it makes it so much easier to begin with. Stimulate your brain. Our brains are probably the most neglected organs we have, but they are arguably the most important. I'm sure it's no surprise that a well-nourished brain will always perform better academically. One way to stimulate your brain and enhance your study sessions is by doing regular exercise. Research has shown that exercise not only improves blood flow to your brain, but also improves your cognitive function, so you can actually think better. I don't know why I can remember, but probably about 10 years ago, I was watching this show called Child Genius, and there was one contestant called Thomas, and he was ridiculously smart. What stuck with me was that Thomas used so many different methods of stimulating his brain, which helped him to learn so much information for these exams. I remember he would be in the garden with his mother, and every time he answered a question correctly, he would sprint to the other side and then run straight back. And then he would just do this for like over an hour straight. Now, although we don't have to copy Thomas exactly, I think implementing some of this into our study routine can be very beneficial for us. So instead of spending hours hunched over your books, why not incorporate short bursts of exercise during study breaks? Maybe after doing flashcards or practice questions, try getting more active than you normally would. And so by stimulating your brain, you're actually helping yourself remember the information better so it sticks in here for a longer time. Making your own reward system. I know this constant revision cycle is so draining because it literally feels as if it's never ending. But since we can't do much about that, it's It's even more important now that we incorporate little rewards along the way so we can build a sustainable and healthy study routine. You've probably already been doing this without realizing, but doing it in the wrong way. The catch is that the rewards should be strategic and tied to your study goals. But most people will think of rewards as having a break when you get tired. Now the key difference here is that one is called a reward and one is called a break. And we've already discussed what we do in our breaks in the previous point. But here we're talking about rewards. For example, if you've set yourself a goal to complete a certain number of pages or to finish writing notes on a specific topic, then reward yourself with a short activity or a small treat upon completion. A bit like a pet, but we'll You can still have longer breaks, like when you actually rest, but try to implement a reward system that you like, which is similar to getting little achievements in a game as if you were unlocking more items as you got on. This not only gives you something to look forward to every time you sit down to study, but also reinforces really good study habits. I like to think of it as we're sort of training our subconsciousness to enjoy studying more, because the idea behind this is that you'd be more likely to study effectively because you have more of an incentive to do well. You've got to have a vision. If you want to achieve anything in life, you've got to have a clear vision and goal. You need to ask yourself why you're studying. Do you want to prove to yourself that you can be successful? Do you want to go to an amazing university? Or do you just want to make your future self proud? Whatever your reasons may be, you've got to think about them every time you feel like this is getting too hard and you feel like giving up. This is all the drive and motivation you really need, and is the number one key thing which I see amongst every successful person. I know you have imagined what it would be like if you got your dream job. There is a complete roadmap ahead of you in life, and all you need to do is complete one task at a time and you will get there. If I gave you a long list of things to complete and said to you, if you do all of these things, you can get whatever you want, I know that you would complete every single item on that list. Although we can't physically see that list, this is exactly how life is. When you keep working and studying and failing and then studying again, you will reach where you want to be as you slowly tick off these small achievements and progress further on your imaginary roadmap. But honestly, this takes a level of dedication and sacrifice, and so many of you will give up before you even get the chance to see your own success. If you have a clear vision, you'll be able to stay focused. Remember that studying is something you can learn and get better at, but similar with all other things, you have to practice if you want to be great. Let me know if you've got any other useful study hacks to share down below. That's everything from me today. Thank you so much for watching until the end, and make sure you go study now.